So if you've poured yourself a cup of coffee lately, maybe you've noticed something. Prices, they seem to be surging.
They really are.
Yeah, I mean, Robusta prices jumped, what, $130 per ton recently? And Arabica's climbing, too. It makes you wonder, like, what's actually brewing here?
It's a really interesting mix right now. Our sources are pointing to two main things, two big forces kind of colliding.
Okay,
First, you've got some pretty severe weather hitting key growing areas. We're talking Brazil mainly.
right.
And second, there are these big fears about potential new trade tariffs popping up.
Okay.
So yeah, this deep dive is really about digging into those factors, seeing how they connect, and what it all means for, the coffee market and, well, your morning cup.
Okay, let's start with the weather then.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the report sounded pretty bad. July 29th, right? A huge hailstorm in Minas Gerais in Brazil.
That's the one.
And that's not just, like, anywhere. It's a really crucial coffee area.
Absolutely critical.
Analysts, Sutton Financial, I think, said it could damage a big chunk of the crop there. And you saw Robusta prices react immediately.
Instantly.
That September contract on the London Exchange, it jumped 4.03%. That's that $130 per ton spike. It's kind of amazing how fast a storm in one place affects things globally.
It really is. And it highlights just how central Brazil is. It's the world's biggest producer of Arabica coffee.
And the main one.
So any disruption there, even just hailstorms or there are also some concerns about cold snaps in other coffee areas there too. It sends ripples everywhere, affects supply, affects prices almost overnight.
Okay, so weather is definitely one big piece.
Yeah.
But then you mentioned tariffs. That sounds like a whole other layer of uncertainty.
Exactly. The market's really on edge about this possibility that the U.S. might impose a 50% tariff on Brazilian goods.
50%. Wow.
Yeah. And the deadline they're talking about is potentially Friday if some kind of trade deal isn't worked out.
And that fear alone is moving prices.
Seems like it. Arabica prices in New York, those September contracts, they ticked up 1.39% partly on this news.
So what would happen if that tariff actually goes through? What are the implications?
Oh, that'd be pretty severe. I mean, think about it. The U.S. is the biggest coffee drinker in the world, right?
Right.
And we get about a third of our coffee directly from Brazil. That's something like 8 million bags a year, these 60-kilo bags.
Okay, that's a huge amount.
It is. So a 50% tariff, it could basically just halt that flow. U.S. roasters, coffee companies, they'd have to scramble.
Scramble where?
To find alternatives, likely much more expensive ones from places like Colombia or maybe Central America, East Africa.
Okay, more expensive for them, probably more expensive for us eventually.
Probably. And then think about Brazil. Suddenly they've got this massive coffee surplus they can't sell to their biggest customer.
Right. Prices there could collapse.
Potentially, yeah. Internal prices might drop as growers desperately try to find new buyers. It's really not good for many involved.
So you've got these big, immediate shocks, the hailstorm, this tariff threat. Are there, like, other things happening in the market itself that might be making these price swings even bigger?
That's a great question. And yeah, our sources suggest there is. It's this concept called a short covering rally.
Short covering. What's that?
Okay, so imagine a bunch of big investors, like investment funds, had actually bet that coffee prices were going to go down.
Okay, they shorted coffee.
Exactly. And apparently by July 22nd, these funds had built up their biggest net short position, their biggest bet on falling prices in Robusta in about 2 years.
So they were really expecting prices to drop.
Right. But then, boom, you get the news about the hailstorm damage, you get these rising tariff fears. Suddenly, prices start going up.
So those investors.
They have to quickly buy back the contracts they sold short to limit their losses.
Which pushes prices up even more.
Precisely. All that sudden buying, layered on top of the actual supply concerns from the weather and tariffs, it can really amplify the price increase. Supercharge it, almost.
That makes sense. It's like pouring fuel on the fire.
Kind of. And what's really interesting is that before all this, Robusta prices had actually been falling.
Oh, really? Why?
Because supply was looking pretty good. You had lots coming out of Indonesia. Brazil was in the middle of its harvest. Vietnam's outlook was positive.
So the underlying trend was maybe downwards, but these shocks just flipped everything.
It seems that way. It really raises questions about how these, short-term sudden shocks interact with the longer-term supply picture.
So bringing it back home. What does this all mean for you listening, for your daily routine?
Well,
It's kind of a stark reminder, isn't it, that the price of your morning coffee isn't just about the beans and the barista.
Yeah.
It's tied directly to hailstorms thousands of miles away, to high-stakes trade talks.
Absolutely. These big global shifts, geopolitical things, climate things, they can actually, hit your wallet pretty directly.
So just to recap quickly, the main drivers behind this coffee price surge right now seem to be these two big things.
Yeah.
The immediate fallout from that bad hailstorm in Brazil.
Right, that supply shock.
And this looming deadline, this threat of major U.S. tariffs on Brazilian goods.
Trade uncertainty.
Yeah. But here's where it gets really interesting, thinking bigger picture.
I think this whole situation just really underscores how vulnerable our global supply chains can be, even for something we think of as an everyday thing like coffee.
Yeah.
They're susceptible to these really rapid interconnected changes, from climate events on one side to complex trade policy on the other. It really makes you pause and think about that whole journey, doesn't it?
It does.
The journey your coffee takes from some farm, maybe in Brazil, all the way to your cup, and all the sort of invisible global forces acting on it along the way. Something to mull over.